What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over the newest Scream 7 rumor. And to be honest with you, this could be one of, if not the biggest rumors for Scream 7 that we've gotten so far. It's making people kind of mad. I can see part of it. I think a lot of anger towards these films, or this film in particular, is driven by the Melissa Jenna thing. So if you kind of separate that, is there a problem with what they're doing with this rumor? There might be. We'll talk about it, but I don't think it's as bad, as people are making it on Twitter. So what we have, and I'll just read it straight from Critical Overlord, but it comes from Daniel RPK. Scream 7 will reportedly have a big time jump for Sydney's kids to play a role. It's intended to be the start of a new trilogy. Now, maybe let's go backwards, okay? So the new trilogy part, let's do that first. I can understand where people are coming from with the, not resentment, I don't necessarily know the right word, but like the hesitancy to kind of give them that. And I do think that's fair. I think one of the main arguments that's being made is if you make a movie, right, with the intention that it's going to be 3, it can go wrong really quick, right? Because you could be setting something up that maybe doesn't get paid off until now. It depends on how it goes. Like that, honestly, that's where I'm kind of coming at with my opinion, right? It depends on how the movie actually is, because you can make just a succinct, beginning, middle, end movie, and it can be part of a bigger plan, but you don't have to like inject that in, and you can almost disguise it. And it doesn't have to be so obvious that you're setting up things in future movies. 4, obviously, they changed some stuff, specifically with Jill towards the ending, right? But, 4 is a pretty good standalone movie, and it's kind of sad that it gets so standalone that it's so separate from 1 through 3 and then 5 and 6, right? It's like that odd duck, just kind of in the middle. But it does a really good job of, being kind of, just alone in that pack, and you could have made more from that era if, the money situation was a little bit better, right? So that's how I look at this one, where it's not too big of a deal for me right now. It's not surprising. It's actually, didn't we talk about this like a week or two ago where I said, well, yeah, I've said it actually for a very long time. As long as the money keeps rolling in, as long as they can double or triple their budget, they're going to keep making these movies. Scream is too big to let go. And that's not to say they should. It's only if you have good ideas. It's only if you think that you can bring something new to the table. But to think that Scream's going to end just because is crazy. Like, they are going to keep going as long as the money's there. And even when the money is not there, they'll take a break and they'll bring it back. Like, they'll eventually have to do without Roger. They'll eventually have to do without Sydney, but they'll always have Ghostface. Like, the presence of Ghostface and new characters, you can always do that. So Scream will literally never die, in the same way Halloween or any of these like horror icons, they'll never go away. Even if they should. Even if you think they should, they never will. So that's not surprising that they want to do more of them. And in fact, the last rumor we talked about, I believe, was television shows, spin-offs, and sequels, that they were also going to do more sequels. Okay, if they do more sequels for this to be a trilogy or start of a trilogy, makes sense. But again, I understand the negative side of things, where it's like, especially if this movie doesn't do well, and then you set it up to do 2 more, you're just setting yourself up, and you're setting the fans up. Actually, it's more disrespectful to the fans, because you're setting fans up that know there's going to be more of them, and are expecting that, and then maybe that infects, the story, and messes with it so that it's not like a succinct thing, and then you don't get the other 2, and that hurts the entire franchise. It hurts 7, and it would hurt, because you're never going to get an 8 or a 9, right? So that is, I guess that's that part. So let's now move up to the top part. This one, I have a little bit more of bones to pick with it, and I'm confused, right? Because I see a lot, and I've seen a lot for like the ages of the kids for a long time on Twitter. How are they 9 and 7 when Sydney? That's the rumor. The rumor is the kids in 5 were 9 and 7. But she's pushing a stroller. Now, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't, a 9-year-old, I don't really think they belong in a stroller. So I don't know if people are, I don't know where that comes from. You can let me know in the comments. I'm a little confused by that. Yes, like they were going to school, but you can have a 3 or 4-year-old maybe in a stroller, right? And that would be like pre-K. So I don't know. I really don't know what ages they were supposed to be in 5. I just find it really weird she's pushing a stroller if one of them is a 9-year-old in 4th grade. Why in God's name are they in a stroller? And then maybe if it's the 7-year-old, but still that's too old. And I just don't understand. I don't get that. So you really have to, I think, make it known how old they actually were in that movie. And then also, okay, enough with that griping. Well, the time jump, the issue people are again having with this, and I would agree with this, right? one of the big elements of Scream is social commentary in the current time. Now, sometimes they're ahead of the curve, and I would like to throw that in there because maybe they're going to have to go backwards in a weird way. Like, if they jump too far ahead, do they pretend like they're still now, where they're making, messaging about the current time? Or do they try to predict the future? Now, that has worked before. That worked in Scream 4 really well. Scream 4 was literally at least maybe 6-7 years too early, okay? And I would argue the messaging of 4 still holds up now, 13 years later? I really think maybe it was a decade too early. So I guess what I'm saying is, right, they managed in that movie to be in the current time, but almost, they were trying to do current time messaging, but they actually were too far ahead, and they kind of predicted the future. In this one, if they jump 5 years ahead, if they jump to 2029 or 2030, they have to predict the stuff that you're doing in 2030. There's no guarantee, just like there was no guarantee with 4 that they would be so far ahead. There's no guarantee now. You know what I mean? And it's also would be different writers. It's not the same thing. So I would understand that. I get that. And they do say it's a big time jump. So when I hear big time jump, I think probably at least 5 years, right? You got to jump at least 5 years. But here's the thing. If the kids were 9 and 7, well, now they're 14 and 12. Like, that's not too old. Like, that's probably a good enough area to have the kids in. I also don't know how much the kids would actually need to be. You know what I mean? Like, how old do they need to be? We've seen like 10-year-old actors do a really good job. I don't know. I feel like I guess this is what I'm building towards. You could probably keep them as is. Like, if they really were 9 and 7, well, this movie is going to come out, 2025, so that'd be 3 years after 2022 Scream 5, so they'd be 12 and 10. I don't even think you would need, you know what I mean? It'll be interesting because we'll have to see what they do, and then we'll have to look at it and say, could you have just kept it, though? Because if you just did yearly and you pretended like you're in 2025 and the kids were X age in 2022, you can age them up 3 years and they can be an acceptable age to do what you want with them. Unless you really want to do a ton with them and you're trying to make them like mid-teenagers, like you want them to be like 15, 16, 17 years old. Well, I believe Sydney was supposed to be 17 or so in Scream 1. Is that what you're trying to do, or are you trying to put them right behind that? Because then, yeah, you need to jump like 7 or 8 years, right? But if you only want to age them a little bit as like they're victims of Ghostface, or Ghostface is coming after them, you got to hide them away. You know what I mean? It'll really depend on what they do. It's hard to make a definitive statement about it right now, but the ages do confuse me, and I understand where people are coming from with, if you jump too far ahead, the cultural thing, it doesn't really work, and that's what a huge part of Scream, so you can't lose that. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they should have hid the ages of the girls. I think the original script, right, for 5 was that she would be getting them ready for school at the house, and then she would get a call. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it was supposed to be. I think that would have been better because you eliminate the stroller, so you have none of that. I'm basically saying you should have tried to hide the age of them. And I mean, you kind of did anyway, but you should have really hidden the age of them in 5, and then you can kind of do whatever you want after. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll have to see what they do when they finally announce these things. So let me know what you think about the rumors in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.